Have you ever fantasized about landing a plane? Not like an F-18 or anything like that, because let's be real, who hasn't? Top Gun awoke within all of us a desire to fly one of those. Just a passenger plane, like a Boeing 787 full of ordinary people on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon for ordinary reasons at the end of an all too ordinary 14 to 18 hour shift as an airline pilot. Well, I haven't. Frankly, that sounds super boring. That's why I was shocked when my first play of SkyTeam left me feeling exhilarated and jittery, excited about things like wing flaps and brakes, and anxious to execute a perfect landing procedure again. SkyTeam's challenge is simple. Land your plane. Touchdown on airport tarmac without blowing up, and you win. But simple doesn't mean easy. To guide your 250,000-pound metal toothpaste tube onto a landing strip from 6,000 feet in the air, you and your co-pilot, ideally a trusted friend, relative, or partner, someone who can match your freak up there, will engage in a treacherous tarantella of acceleration and braking, haranguing the control tower, deploying flaps and landing gears, and guzzling gallons upon gallons of coffee. For concentration purposes, of course. You'll only get your passengers safely to their destination if you're able to clear air traffic ahead to avoid collisions, put out all 3 landing gears, extend all your flaps, and keep your plane's wings parallel to the ground. Fail to check any of these items off your aeronautic laundry list, and you'll put the terminate in terminal. And that's just what you'll be doing in the most basic of the 21 scenarios included in the box. Later in your piloting career, you'll be expected to manage your fuel levels, wrestle with your brakes in icy weather, and even train interns literally on the fly. Modern planes are flown using all kinds of high-tech gadgets, sophisticated and esoteric instruments, meticulously engineered to unerringly provide the exact results required by every circumstance that arises in the air. Gadgets like dice. At the beginning of every round in SkyTeam, you and your partner will appraise the situation in front of you. There are a lot of planes up ahead, you might say, like a Nebraska farmer commenting on an approaching tornado. Perhaps we should do something about that? We're 2,000 feet away from landing and you still haven't touched the brakes, your partner might reply. Maybe you should do something about that? Once you've identified your objectives, you will roll your dice. And that sound is the last that both of you will make for the rest of the round. From then on, there will be silence, broken only by the sounds of slurping. Because every pilot's best friends, cups of coffee, will be littered about the cabin like unlit Yankee candles at your mom's house. And by draining these cups, you will be able to change your dice results. You will want to do this often. Completing your landing procedure will require specific dice rolls, and the only way to wrestle your destiny from the clutches of chance will be by quaffing these receptacles of boiling hot espresso. You'll take turns adding dice to the plane's control panel until both of you have run out. You'll each have access to different parts of the control panel depending on your role. But every round, each of you will be required to commit 1 die to the plane's axis and 1 die to the plane's engine. And this is where SkyTeam gets really, really good. The engine determines how fast you go, and the axis communicates how your plane is oriented in the sky. Both of these things are determined by the dice you and your partner add to the board. The dice that you're playing without engaging in any form of communication whatsoever. When the first die is added to the axis, nothing happens. When your partner places their die, you'll look at the values on the 2 dice in the section. If they are different, you will tilt the plane a number of times equal to the difference between the 2 numbers in the direction of the player who played the highest number. Rotate too far and... When both of you have added a die to the engines, you'll add the two numbers. If the sum is high enough, your plane will move forward 2 spaces. If not, it will move forward 1 space or none at all. Any of these results can be exactly what you need or utterly catastrophic. So each player needs to be completely locked in to what's going on, lest the plane streaks into the drooling jaws of calamity. There is nothing more exciting than adding a 3 to the axis, praying that your partner has a 4 to tilt the plane just enough to keep your wing from ripping off. When they have a 4, it's amazing. When the best they have is a 6, it's terrible, but also kind of hilarious. Amazing, terrible, and kind of hilarious is exactly what SkyTeam is. Is it awful that hundreds of passengers are unwittingly trusting 2 espresso-soaked amateurs with their lives? Yes, it's horrible, but it's also so funny. Adding to the absurdity of it all is the fact that you can't talk for most of the game. So you're reduced to mutely expressing your rising panic as you careen toward disaster. As you pass beyond the basic scenarios and the ways in which it can all go wrong start to multiply, the pressure will increase until you are both teetering on the brink of inaudible hysteria in an ice storm over Norway. Aside from the fun of trying to contain your emotional outbursts, limiting communication also serves to isolate both players just enough to render them reliant on their own intuition. Do you play a die to the engine first or the axis, or should you go for the flaps? Can you afford to let the plane rotate just slightly if it allows you to activate another landing gear? Those kinds of decisions are entirely up to you. You and your teammate can identify large objectives at the beginning of a round, but when you're in the thick of fulfilling those objectives, each player is left to their own devices, creating an experience that feels shared but spacey. That said, if you like to talk out each of your plays during your cooperative games, SkyTeam will likely frustrate you. Much of its excitement and difficulty comes straight from its limited communication element, and unlike games like The Crew, or Gloomhaven, or Frosthaven, or Arkham Horror, the card game, that provide channels of communication you can use to clue your teammates into what you might like to do on your turn or what cards you might have in your hand, SkyTeam gives you nothing. After the dice are rolled, that's it. No talking until all dice have been laid out. If you've played the mind and the absence of talking drove you crazy, SkyTeam will probably stress you out. You've got 4 dice, which you can even re-roll at intervals, so you will always have more control over what's going on than you would ever have in the mind. But the silence may still be suffocating, especially as you encounter more complex and consequently more fragile situations in later scenarios. The same goes for any of you who loathe dice. Again, the game gives you tools to alleviate the effects of atrocious dice rolls, but as with any game involving dice, a series of lapses of fortune can put you in a very bad place, and that might be annoying. Fortunately, the game never lasts super long, so a noxious turn of events doesn't mean the loss of 2 hours of hard work. Resetting is extremely simple as well, so if your plane has gone down in flames, no worries, your airline has a great insurance policy and an incredible team of lawyers, so you will be back up in the sky in a heartbeat. I wholeheartedly recommend SkyTeam. I suppose the theme isn't exactly electrifying, and it may take the people in your life stranger to board games a bit of persuading to try it as a result. And you may experience enhanced fraying of the nerves the next time you're in a real plane that's really landing. I mean, did the pilot activate the brakes enough? You'll never know for sure. But other than that, it's just awesome. From setup to takedown, each scenario will last about 30 minutes. The box is excellently sized. The components are nicely produced and hardy, but not ostentatious, which is great for not only sustainability, but price as well. It'll take a bit of explanation to clarify the spaces on the control panel on your first run, probably about 5 to 10 minutes, but once you're in the air, it's a breeze. And you only need one other player to play with. If you like playing games with your partner or a friend, SkyTeam is an excellent choice. That's really all I have to say about it. It's just great. The volatility of the dice combines with a petite suite of luck management tools to provide an experience defined by a mingling of resourceful thinking and luck that just feels adventurous. And if that sounds fun, go pick up a copy and start your descent from the wild blue yonder. Thank you so much for joining me in this review. Bye!